Hi, it's Ron Wexler with Keller Williams Preferred Realty, the Wexler Group. Today we're going to talk about the pre-listing consultation and why it's so important. So, when the thought of selling a home comes into your mind, even if it's not going to be for 6 months or even a year or more, that's truly the best time to have a pre-listing consultation and meet with an agent so that when you decide that you are going to make a move or might be making a move, honestly, that's the best time to meet with an agent. The pre-listing consultation will set you up to maximize what you walk away with and to make the headaches when you get right down to the move a lot smaller. So, there's been a few times when people would call and say, we have to put this house on the market this week. And let's say it would be Wednesday and they wanted to be on for the weekend. And when we went to see the house, it really wasn't ready for the market. And even though we share what would really maximize what they're going to walk away with, sometimes people just don't want to do that or aren't in a position to do that if they're in a big hurry. And ultimately, it almost always costs them money. Because honestly, the little things that you do before you put the home on the market can have a 5 or 10 times return, where if you don't do them, buyers really want to subtract a lot of money for little things that don't mean a lot. Or they might not even buy your house because somebody else has done those little things. So honestly, if we are going to put your home on the market anytime in the next 6 to 12 months, we should just meet far in advance and make sure we're ready to go when the time comes. So first impressions matter. And what I mean by that is the way people feel about your home the entire time they're walking through it is affected even by what they saw when they walked up to the doorstep. So the little things, cleaning, and then once they're inside, taking care of clutter, those are the little things that stick in the back of their mind. And I've had plenty of times when I showed a home to a buyer and we were going back to the car and I said, what do you think of that house? He said, there was just something we didn't like. And then when we dug deep, it literally had to do with the condition of not even the house itself, but the items in the house. And that the agent hadn't helped them pre-stage or be ready for that showing. And so those little things just stick in the back of their mind. And they just know when they walk out, this isn't the house for us. And unless the agent really digs deep, they're just going to keep going and look for the next house. If the agent takes them deeper, they might be able to get them to come back and overlook the things that turned them off the first time around. The thing that we really want to happen is have the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people to come in your house to fall in love and want to buy that house so we can get them all fighting to buy it and help get you the highest possible price. So when we do the pre-listing consultation, anything we suggest, the real goal is that anything we ask you to do is going to give you a 3 to 5x return on the cost to do it. That's why decluttering and things like painting and just straightening things up have such a high return, because they're just labor and there's not very much expense. So when it comes to things that cost money, we're very careful about what we suggest. What we don't want to do is suggest something that's going to cost you $5,000 and it adds $500 to the value of your home when we go to sell it. So we do the little things first that have very low cost and a high return. Then we move towards things that cost money and decide if we'll get you all of that money plus a return, an ROI on the expense. And if not, we'll just suggest you don't do that. So one of my favorite times on a pre-listing consultation was there was a family, we met in, I believe it was March, and they were planning on putting the house on the market May 1st. And one of the things they had done is they contracted with a landscaper, and it was $5,300 worth of work that landscaper was going to do. And when they told me that, I thought that's a lot of money in landscaping. And we went back outside, and I just looked at what they were going to do, and I said, honestly, I'm not going to get you back almost any of that $5,300. Can you cancel that agreement? And they said, yeah, we haven't really signed anything yet. I said, you could easily go buy a couple bags of mulch, make a $15 or $20 investment, and I told them how to rearrange some of the landscape items they already had and just mulch it. And when we got down to the closing, they reminded me, they were like, you saved us over $5,000 before we even got started. And I said that was the value of the pre-listing consultation. So, we all want to think of ourselves as brilliant decorators and having great ideas and we're creative and everything. But honestly, that's a small percentage of the population. Most people who look at your home are going to barely be able to envision their own furniture in the home. So you don't want to overstage the home. I'd rather have less furniture than more. And I'd rather do the little things like have the closets look larger, have the floor space look larger, take some of the books off the bookshelf, take some of the things out of the closet. So some of the things we're going to suggest are going to be very low cost and very simple to do, and they're going to have a high return. So I'm not really big on full staging a home. And the truth is now we can do that digitally. Like we can literally take your empty house and make it look fully furnished online if we want to. For the most part, I'd rather the buyers see big empty rooms and then they can talk about where their furniture would go. It's pretty hard for most people to envision filling a home with furniture, etc. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea when we meet. So when we meet, we'll focus on what staging gives you a return and helps a buyer see the home in its best light and what things you should or should not do to make sure that we do the best we can for you and your family. I started real estate in 1984 when interest rates were 18% and barely anything was selling, and the homes that were selling far below what people were hoping they would sell for. And what that market taught us was that if you price ahead of the market, whether the market's going up or the market's going down, you usually win. And overpricing a home almost always just causes it not to sell. Underpricing a home causes it to get multiple offers and usually sell higher. So our goal, our job when we meet with you is to figure out what is that fine balance. Like really, what is the exact price that we think a buyer is going to be willing to pay for your home? And then do we edge a little bit above that number or a little bit below that number based on our competition of the moment? That's really how we use pricing to make sure you get top dollar for your home. We have a saying in real estate that the average agents do the 3 Ps. They put a sign in the yard, put an ad in the paper, maybe 4. They put it on the MLS, and then they pray. We do the 5th P, which is prospecting. Once we've figured out where your home should be marketed, how it should be priced, and what should happen to get you absolute top dollar, then we go out and we go after the buyers that we think will pay top dollar for your home. And that's where we spend our energy and our time. So, when you talk about choosing the right agent, or in our case, the right team to help you sell your home, the truth is anybody can put your home on the computer, on the MLS, on the internet, maybe put out a sign and hope someone shows up with a buyer and it sells. It's so much more than that now. In fact, a lot of times the buyers might even identify your home without their agent even having any input. So what value does your agent protecting you bring to the table? What a great agent's going to do is make sure as many buyers as possible are exposed to your property so that you get top dollar. They're going to follow up and get feedback from the people who have seen it, so they're tracking how your home is doing on the market. And then they're going to make sure when the offers do come in that they negotiate you absolute top dollar. Once that's done, processing the transaction all the way through to the closing sometimes takes more energy and effort than finding a buyer did. So having a great team like ours, where we have a full-time transaction coordinator whose only job is dealing with the attorneys, the surveyors, the title people, the mortgage people, the inspectors, having someone who that's all they do all day long while the agents are out selling real estate is pretty much always going to ensure that you're going to have the smoothest possible transaction when you sell. Choosing the right team isn't always vital. Just to be perfectly honest, when the market's super hot and things are going great, then as long as they guide you to a strong attorney and some strong resources, you'll probably be okay. In a market like today, there are so many factors, from AI and retargeting follow-up, from the actual marketing itself, from processing transactions, following up with people who've shown your home to get the best feedback. Everything that we do to make sure you get top dollar right now is more vital than ever. And I can see it when I look at how long some homes are taking to sell and how many price reductions some people are having to do before they actually get an offer. So right now, a team is vital. a pre-listing consultation is you just can't really go without it right now. And having as much time before you hit the market as possible will really benefit you depending on how much needs to be done. So if there's any chance that you think you might be selling your home in the next year, even 6 months to a year, reach out to us now. There's no obligation. We're happy to meet with you now. We're happy to stay in touch after that. But reach out right now. Let's have the free pre-listing consultation so that you are really ready to go when the time comes. And the actual sale and move itself will be a lot smoother if you start right now, far in advance. Reach out to our team. Let's have a pre-listing consultation, and let's make sure you start the whole process out on the right foot. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that the internet influencers tell you to do, and we'll keep creating good content about real estate in our marketplace to help you be the smartest real estate consumer out there.